The shooting range. In this episode, pages of history. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened again. Tactics and strategy. Training Navy crews. And Metal Beasts, the South African Rhino. In one of our previous episodes, we told you about a wheeled anti-tank guided missile carrier. Now, is it possible to make a wheeled HE carrier? Yes, sir, we've got one just like that, coming all the way from South Africa. Please welcome the G6 Rhino. What's inside this unusual-looking machine? Let's take a closer look. Its main and only caliber is the 155mm cannon with traverse ranging 40 degrees to each side and elevation angles between -5 and +75 degrees. The ammo stored in the rear, the combat compartment, and the front of the machine. The crew includes the driver, 3 loaders, the gunner, and the commander. The engine compartment is in the center, while the transmission is in the bottom of this tank destroyer. Defensive measures include smoke grenades. Despite tradition, we'd like to start with the flaws this time, and no machine of this class is flawless. The first and foremost issues are its size and its lack of armor. Hiding the G6 is a tricky task, and pretty much anything can damage it. Planes, anti-aircraft guns, large caliber MGs. The only thing the armor can save the crew from is probably an HE exploding nearby. Survivability isn't too bad though, thanks to a large beyond armor space and low ammo placement, but you still shouldn't risk it. The driving performance is another reason to avoid risks. The Rhino can't retreat quickly. Yeah, the smoke grenades might hide it from the enemy, but a reverse speed of only 8 km/h and a low maneuverability won't help it leave the dangerous area quick enough. It's better at moving forward, but the wheels come with their expected limits. The Rhino feels great moving along roads, but any crossroad area, sticky, or simply soft soils instantly steal all of its speed. Finally, the last flaw here is the aiming angles. You could live with a depression angle of only 5 degrees, although it prevents you from using the landscape well. It's the traverse angles that make it really tough to put up with. Being able to shoot to your sides or back would be amazing on such a large, clumsy machine. Well, enough with the criticism. The Rhino does have an advantage, and what an advantage it is. It's 7 meters long and has a caliber of 155mm. We recommend you use the HEVT rounds with it. The proximity fuse works well on ground targets and can help you handle an aerial one. A single shell contains 11 kilograms of explosives in TNT equivalent, more than enough to send any enemy to the hangar screen. Lighter targets don't even need any special aim, while tougher ones require a single hit to the turret, since the explosion will also breach the roof. This unconditional firepower is what makes this machine attractive despite all the flaws. Once the issues are overcome, you can just lay back and enjoy your precise HE shells exploding the enemy tanks, destroyers, planes, basically anything in your sights. It's totally worth trying this machine, at least to experience the satisfaction. And who knows, you might find another reason to like it. The Soviet Union was a country with a plan-based economy. This, however, never meant that everything went according to plan. Local authorities would sometimes show plenty of initiative. In October 1941, the Chelyabinsk tractor factory was turned into the Kirov plant, also known as the Tankograd, which roughly translates into Tank City. It comprised 7 evacuated industries, including the Kirov plant from Leningrad that specialized in heavy tanks. Tankograd was doing both the mass production and the development of new projects. Plant number 100 was busy designing new vehicles, while the Kirov plant put them into production. This duo was pretty efficient for a while, but soon the differences started to pile up. The Kirov workers created their own design bureau and began working on the IS-4. Plant 100, meanwhile, secretly sparked up a project of their own, with no approval from the authorities. We've already shared the story of Plant 100 dropping their IS-2 upgrade project in favor of a new heavy tank, the future IS-6. It involved the engineers organizing a secret place disguised as a smoking room, with no outsiders allowed in. When an army representative found out about it, a huge scandal ensued. Despite this reaction, the plant management managed to defend their activities and build 2 prototypes. The tests ended in failure, but one of the prototypes was rebuilt for further work, and the factory opened a few new secret chambers. The Army's demands grew every day, so the engineers did their honest best to catch up with them. And that's how the story of the IS-7 began. At first, the tank looked like a Wunderwaffe. Its armor was vastly superior to the King Tiger's with the same mass of 68 tons. The turret housed a 130mm gun with a mechanized loader. Its 1,000 horsepower diesel engine was to propel the machine to 60 kilometers an hour. A true tank of extreme parameters. Perfectly protected, heavily armed, with both a large mass and a high speed, no compromises. It took a lot of engineering effort to meet these demands. The IS-7 received a pike nose and back-sloped armor on the sides. It was also the first tank to employ a new type of torsion bar suspension, a fanless cooling system, bladder-type fuel tanks, and many other features. They even considered an electric transmission for a while. That's why the IS-6 was still undergoing testing. But despite all these perfect parameters, the IS-7 was doomed. It was simply too sophisticated and expensive. The plans to build a prototype series failed, and when it finally got to testing, a whole bunch of issues were discovered. The engine would overheat and break down, the cooling system would burn up, and the fuel tanks had to be replaced. A few accidents happened as well. One tank burned down, another fell off a bridge and sank, and the third one almost rammed a train. The worst part? The IS-7 was too heavy. No ferry or platform could support it, and the thought of having to mass transfer these monsters terrified the military. The tank of extreme parameters never left the trial stage. Still, the IS-7 project was not useless. New ideas invented during its design stage were later helpful in creating the T-10. One thing is even more important, though. The fate of this perfect yet stillborn tank made it perfectly clear for everyone that the era of super heavy machines was over. We've told you about upgrading ground and aircraft crews before, and it's now time to talk about the naval crews. As a reminder, the crew points directly depend on the research points you get in battles. You'll need 50,571 of them to reach the maximum level of a naval crew. The upgrade tree looks similar to the ground crew's one. There's 6 groups of skills in this window: ship commander, observers, engine room, gunners, damage control, and logistical services. The latter do the same job as their ground counterparts: improve the free repair speed in the hangar, which means this is the last point on our priority list. Naval battles differ from all others, mostly because they take much longer and have way bigger firing distances. Due to this, vessels receive damage much more often than other vehicles, and their crews need to remedy this more often as well. That's why we recommend you start with upgrading skills in the damage control tab. Pour all the points you can into extinguishing fires and pumping out water. These are the things that can put you out of combat sooner than you'd like. Your third priority here is fixing damaged modules. After all, any ship can be repaired as long as it stays afloat. Keep in mind that doing all 3 types of work simultaneously makes them all significantly slower. Survival leadership is the skill that improves the speed in such cases, and we recommend you upgrade it together with the other 3. The next important skill is crew interchangeability, found in the Ship Commander tab. It reduces the loss of fighting capacity when you lose your crew. Now, the 5 skills we've just listed are relevant for any boat or ship crew, while the importance of the others depends on your playstyle. With the coastal fleet, you'll want to upgrade ship control. The higher it is, the faster your crew responds to commands, meaning you can change speed or direction faster. It might be more important for larger vessels too, but firepower means much more for them, and you can find the corresponding skill in the Gunners tab. What we've got here affects the reload speed and accuracy of the main, auxiliary, and anti-aircraft calibers, as well as the timing precision of the fuses. Upgrading these will improve the efficiency of your artillery fire. All skills related to naval weaponry need to be upgraded in equal measures. Next, we have the Ship Commander skill tab. This one improves the efficiency of all crew skills. The remaining ones have less significance. Fire prevention reduces the chances of a fire in the corresponding compartment of your vessel. It's a nice bonus, but far from a major one. The Commander's tab has the radio communication skill. This one affects the target reception range for enemies spotted by your allies. But most of the time, you'll be spotting your targets yourself, so this skill might not be worth upgrading early. And finally, the last on the priority list are the Observer's skills that affect detection range for torpedoes, naval, and air targets. They do make your game a bit easier, but combat efficiency certainly matters more. That's it for the crew skills. Use our advice to optimize your upgrade process while we're going to answer some of the questions you ask us in the comments. The first question was sent by a player called Plague Doctor TH. How do you use the assault fuse correctly and more efficiently? Hi, Doctor. The assault fuse is best employed on bombers or high-rank attack aircraft that drop their load at a high altitude, or with smaller calibers, like the German 50-kilogram bombs on the Messerschmitt 109. LQL writes, is there a control for dropping different bombs first, for example on the U-87B2 dropping the SC-250 first instead of the SC-50? Hey there, LQ. You can choose which ordnance to drop first with the use of the Suspended Armament Selector menu. If you need to assign a key for it, go to Controls, Aircraft, Weaponry. Another question comes from Thrillmint. Even though the F4F has Sparrow slots, why doesn't it come with Sparrows in-game? Hi, Thrillmint. The German Phantoms do have slots for the Sparrow missiles, but they've never been used in real life. Even the equipment required to control these missiles was completely removed from the aircraft. Felix Scarpholt asks, how do I use thrust reverse and brake at the same time with the Viggen? Hello, Felix. You'll need to assign separate keys for the left and right brakes if you want to do that. This feature is found in Controls, Aircraft, Full Reel Controls, Mechanization. Don't forget to switch back to mouse aim mode after you assign the keys. And the last comment for today was written by Nixon LP. How should I play the F-82 Twin Mustang? Low altitude or high? Hi there, Nixon. Definitely high. Once you spawn, set your course about 15 degrees up and you'll most certainly be above everyone else at the time of combat contact. Then use energy tactics and frontal attacks against your enemies, prioritizing those who are higher. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to give a pep talk to your crew before each battle, leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.